In Episode 1, the beast of Gévaudan tasted blood, and now it craves more. By 1765, the killings had grown bolder, the screams louder. King Louis XV sent his finest hunters, armed with muskets and arrogance. But the people of Gévaudan know the truth. This is no ordinary wolf. And when the king's men fail, the unlikeliest heroes arise. Children and a young girl, armed with nothing but sticks, a bayonet, and sheer defiance. Welcome back to Storyteller's Hearth Fireside Tales, production of The Beast of Gévaudan, where history and horror collide. Tonight, we unravel a tale of bungled royal expeditions and a village's fury as the youngest victims become the fiercest warriors. Their bravery would echo through history, if they survived. The fire is lit. The beast is watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment. The winter of 1765 brought the villagers of Gévaudan in France no respite, only snow stained red. As their terror stretched into its second year, King Louis XV could no longer ignore the humiliation. British papers crowed about France's inability to kill one mangy wolf, while at Versailles, courtiers murmured about the crown was growing weak. Enough. In February, the king dispatched Captain Jean-Baptiste Duhamel and 20 dragoons, elite soldiers trained to hunt rebels, not beasts, back to the region. Duhamel's plan was textbook: battues, great sweeping drives through the forests, poisoned meat left in clearings, and sharp shooters stationed along game trails. Conventional wisdom said it should have worked, but it didn't. The beast seemed to be mocking them. It skirted the battues and easily scaled their fences, leaving tracks that vanished at riverbanks. They accused it of springing their traps and stealing their meat. It ignored any bait that had been poisoned, and even appeared to vandalize their snares with what looked like deliberate fury. Then, on March 12th, near the village of Saint-Alban, it staged its most brazen taunt yet. As Duhamel's men marched in formation, the beast burst from the tree line, snatched a leg of lamb from their baggage train, and vanished before a single musket could fire. "It does not fear man," Duhamel later wrote, his ink blotted with frustration. "Instead, it stalks us." Worse, his men were disheartened. The dragoons, trained for battle in an open field, flinched at every rustling bush. Locals spat at their boots, accusing them of making things worse by drawing the beast's wrath upon them. By April, Duhamel had been reduced to paying children to act as bait, a move that backfired when the beast ignored his decoys and killed a woodcutter's son half a league away. When word reached Versailles of Duhamel's debacles, Louis XV's patience snapped. In a stinging rebuke, he replaced Duhamel with François-Antoine Denneval, the king's own gun-bearer, with his son Jean-François Denneval, both famed hunters from Normandy. The father and son team, who had the reputation of being the best wolf hunters in France, arrived in June of 1765 like conquering heroes, and promptly made enemies of everyone rich and poor. Locally known as the Normans, they arrogantly dismissed local knowledge, insisting the people of Gévaudan were merely hysterical. "A large wolf and nothing more," scoffed Antoine, even as survivors described claws that tore like knives. They brought their own pack of hounds, refusing to work with regional trackers. When a farmer dared to suggest the beast avoided certain areas where people lay in wait, the elder Denneval sneered, "Next, you'll claim it reads maps." The Normans were described by the local nobility as displaying the most distressing boastfulness. Upon their arrival in Gévaudan, the Normans had demanded to have exclusive rights to the hunts and asked that Captain Duhamel to be dismissed. After Duhamel and most of his men had left the area, the de Ennevals continued to be slow in showing any effort to catch the beast until 13 days later, preferring the cheer of a local inn to the discomfort of the woods. To explain their perceived failures in the hunt, the de Ennevals accused Duhamel's lingering troops of sabotage and claimed they had deliberately missed shots, sprung the traps, and spoiled the bait. The resulting feud split the huntsmen into two armed camps, each blaming the other when the beast struck again. And strike it did. On July 19th, while the de Ennevals were lounging at a chateau, the beast slaughtered two girls near Montchauvet, in the exact woods their hounds had supposedly cleared only hours earlier. By August, Gévaudan had a new pastime, betting on how long until the Normans fled in humiliation. The odds were not in the outsiders' favor. The townspeople began to mock the Normans, reminding them they must surely be successful, since the king had commanded it. The winter of 1765 had frozen Gévaudan into a wasteland of fear. Armed men habitually returned empty-handed from the woods, their breath steaming in the cold air, their eyes hollow with failure. But in the shadows of their despair, two children would prove what seasoned hunters could not, that the beast could be fought. Dawn had barely touched the frosted fields near Villefort on that cold January day in 1765, when 7 children set out to tend their cattle. Among them was a 12-year-old boy named Jacques Portefaix. The children joked to keep warm, their voices carrying across the boggy landscape edged by the woods. They did not see the beast until it was upon them. It had appeared as if by some magic. It came from the east, where the rising sun blinded them, a streak of matted, stinking fur and muscle, its paws kicking up leaves as it charged. The children screamed and scattered like startled birds. But the beast was faster. It lunged for one of the boys like a cat on a mouse, its jaws closing around his arm with a sickening crunch. Blood splashed across the frosty ground as the youngster howled in pain. Then something remarkable happened. Instead of scattering like the other children, Jacques sprinted towards his screaming friend, while encouraging the other children to follow. The beast's progress was slowed from pulling the struggling boy through the underbrush, giving the rescuers time to catch up. They attempted to distract the monster by hurling rocks in its direction, while Jacques, using a long, pointed stick, endeavored to jab the beast in its eyes. The devil creature snarled, momentarily loosening its grip just long enough for Jacques to drag its victim from its jaws. At this point, some nearby woodsmen, hearing the terrible screams, came running, alarming the beast. It fast trotted off into the woods with a howl that sounded more like a demon than a wolf. After retreating about 40 paces, the monster stopped, sat down and looked back at the villagers for a moment, and then disappeared. The woodsmen tried tracking the animal in the snow, but its footprints soon mysteriously vanished after they led to a stream. News of the children's bravery reached King Louis XV, who was so moved by the courageousness of people so young, he awarded them 300 livres, a fortune for peasant families, and personally funded Jacques' education at the Brothers of the Christian Doctrine School and afterwards at the Royal Artillery Corps School, where he earned his commission. Jacques-André Portefaix's name became forever tied to the children who stood their ground against the beast. By late summer of 1765, Marie-Jeanne Valet, a 19-year-old servant girl, later known as the Maid of Gévaudan, found herself face to face with the monster. She had been crossing a footbridge over a small river with her younger sister and a few of the village women when the water around them stirred. At first, Marie-Jeanne thought it was a deer, until the beast leaped onto the bridge, its fur dripping with river water, its lips peeled back in a snarl. The women screamed and made to retreat. But before she could react, it lunged at Marie-Jeanne, just as she, in desperation, thrust out with an old rusty bayonet she had kept for protection. She felt the blade pierce the beast's chest, causing it to yelp and stumble back, lose footing, and fall into the river. As quickly as it had appeared, it disappeared back into the forest. The story soon reached Antoine, who directly went to the scene to interview the young women. In his report, he noted the blade was indeed covered in blood. He was so impressed with her story, which he corroborated with her companions, he likened Marie-Jeanne to Joan of Arc. It was he who first called her the Maid of Gévaudan. Her story spread like wildfire throughout all of Europe. For the first time, the people of Gévaudan had proof the beast could bleed. These two encounters changed everything. Jacques Portefaix's defiance shattered the popularly held myth that the beast was an invincible opponent. If children could fend off the beast, then so could seasoned hunters. Marie-Jeanne Valet's bayonet strike became a legend that emboldened hunters to press on with their search. Yet the beast was not finished. It would return, angrier, hungrier, and more cunning than ever. And the next time it faced a human, it would be a fight to the death. The forests of Gévaudan had become a place of fear. As the death toll climbed, so too did the dread. It was palpable like a dark cloud that hung over the region. It was not just a fear of teeth and claws, but of something far older, far darker, and more sinister. The beast was no longer merely an animal. It had become a question, a heresy, a shadow slinking through the boundary between flesh and nightmares. It was, perhaps, something that hunted for their soul. The hunters failed, the children fought, and still, the beast of Gévaudan stalks the shadows, its hunger growing, its legend twisting into something darker. The people whisper of curses now, of claws that etch church doors, of a creature that laughs at bullets. Thank you for joining us around the fire for Episode 2 of The Beast of Gévaudan. But the nightmare is far from over. In Episode 3, we descend into the supernatural suspicions, where priests brandish holy water and peasants speak of ancient curses. A stalemate had developed where Gévaudan's hope hung by a thread. Can the beast ever be stopped? Or is this an eternal war between man and the devil himself? Don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a tale. Leave a comment below. Like and share to spread the legend. And remember, when the embers die down, the howling begins. Until next time, stay wary and throw another log on the fire.